Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada, with me, Mr. Lady Ada, on camera control. We're here at the Adafruit factory behind us in downtown Manhattan. This is where the magic happens. This is where the dreamers of dreams dream. We make, we create, we hack, we solder, we video, we code, and make, and whatever else I said, engineer. It all happens here. Right now the factory is nice and quiet because people are home resting. Usually it's very busy here, but that's why me and Mr. Lady 8 are here, because we're going to take over, and for the next hour we're going to show you all the latest news and videos and products and tutorials and secrets and more. Let's kick it, Mr. Lady Ada.
Yeah.
What's on tonight's show?
I like some of the names of the factory that are coming up. The Feather Forge.
It's true.
The Cutie Pie Quarry.
Yes.
These are all really good. All right, on tonight's show, the code is Metro Mini QT in celebration of a new product that we're launching now. So Metro Mini QT, 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. tonight. We'll talk about our Adafruit Live series of shows, including Show and Tell. Melissa just co-hosted. Thank you, Melissa. A little bit of time travel, look around the world, makers, hackers, artists, engineers, news, and things that are going on. From the mailbag, letters, and more from you to us. We read those out. We'll do some advanced manufacturing, main New York City factory footage, a couple videos from Noam Pedro, some 3D printing. We have Ion MPI brought to you by Adafruit. And DigiKey this week is Creality. We'll be talking about some 3D printers, new products, top secret. We got some fun stuff in top secret tonight. We'll answer your questions. We do that over on Discord. All 35,000 of us join the community at adafruit.it/Discord. That's where we can see the questions throughout the show, and also the end of the show, which is most important because that's where we can see them all in one spot. All that and more tonight on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, other ones. The Stemma Shop. That's a pretty good one.
Okay.
I was trying to think of like a Bed Bath & Beyond quote, but a breakout board and beyond, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that. Well, we can keep coming up with ones. The Wearables Workroom. All right, let's pay some bills here, to pay some skills, to pay for the things that we do here. Metro Mini QT is the code. We have free stuff
Freebies.
that we do as you check out in the store. First up.
Correct. We had $99 or more. We still have that Perma-Proto half-sized breadboard. People love this. It's great for taking your breadboard project and making it permanent. Next up at $149 or more, it's a PCB pink circuit board featuring the KB2040. The RP2040. The KB2040 is a pink PCB. It runs Arduino or CircuitPython. It's nice and powerful. It's a great little breakout board with Stemma QT and a lot of little peripherals and accessories on it. So it's a great starter board. $199 or more, free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States. And $299 or more, it's back. We've got everybody's favorite Circuit Playground Express is in stock, and you get it free when you order enough from Adafruit.com. And this is our favorite development board with LEDs and buttons and sensors. You can program it in so many different ways.
Okay, and don't forget, if you're ordering stuff on Adafruit, please verify your account and use two-factor authentication. That'll help you place orders. Also, it allows you to do things like buy Raspberry Pis. Today we put in the 8 gigabyte ones. And
we might have some more.
Yeah, and folks were able to get them. And I think we've gotten through most of the, tragedy, controversy going on with stuff, because there was a bunch of people buying these and then reselling them on eBay, and we were able to put a stop to it. But then there were some folks that were just angry about us stopping them doing that. So that's how it goes. So please do that. It's also just good security. If you look at everything that's going on online, every bit of data is getting leaked. Everyone's getting popped. It is just kind of an unending thing. This is what computers are kind of made to do.
There are docs
bits.
being dropped right now.
So the best thing you could do is just limit your exposure on each website that you use. And one of the ways to do that is to verify your account, do two-step authentication. If you could use something like Authy, which is a tool. You could use text messaging, but we think the apps on phones. You can also use YubiKeys on Adafruit now.
Yes, right? We actually opened up. We had YubiKeys for internal folks, but now we have YubiKeys for anyone. So if you have like a hardware dongle, you can even make your own. Yeah. Really good news also about Authy using TOTP. You can even use a feather to make a little TOTP client.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a phone. I don't have a phone. Sometimes I did a tutorial on how to make your own little MicroPython or CircuitPython two-step authentication, time-based OTP generator. So it's really the best way and doesn't have as many of the issues that SMS has and has had. So strongly recommend it.
Okay. All right. We do a bunch of live shows every single week. The show and tell just wrapped up. Thank you, Melissa. And I think Liz was helping out. Show and tell next week be hosted by Pedro, and then I think we're back after that. And one of the things that we've been doing is we've been having guests on that are also doing things. So we had Adam Savage on, we had Magenta from Supply Frame, Hackaday. So we'll have some other guests.
Sophie.
Yeah, we had Sophie on. So we also have Kevin from DigiKey. So also have some other guests. I don't know if conferences and events are back yet, but there's certainly more of them. So we'll have folks talk about the things that they're up to and more. On Sundays, we do the Desk of Lady Ada, and then this week you did a couple of things. What did you show on your desk?
Okay, first
this
up,
week?
I played around with Platform.io. I'm getting back to doing some camera stuff at night, and the code takes so long to compile that using Platform.io I thought would be a good opportunity, because one of the things that they do is, one, have ESP32 as a native. It's supported officially and it's funded by Espressif, so it has a good chance of working. And second, they do sped up compiles. I also showed up some sensors that I got, some low-cost sensors that I'm making breakouts for, and we also promoted the Silicon SJ.
Okay. And then we also do the grade search, which
Yes.
is super handy now because a lot of folks send us requests. So, send us requests on what to look for and how on digikey.com.
Yes, this week, I designed a board for the TCA or TPA. 9548, TCA 9548. And I was like, it's an 8-channel I2C multiplexer, and I was like, this is cool, but I want to find one that does 4-channel, because maybe I don't need 8 channels, and actually showed that sometimes the DigiKey search, especially for weird chips, it's not really easy to find alternatives. And so I showed how to go to TI's product search, and then you can find the product on DigiKey. So it's like, because TI doesn't keep stuff, they have distributors, they don't do stocking themselves. So then I found the part on DigiKey for a 4-channel I2C expander.
Okay. And we just wrapped up JP's product pick of the week. This week, did some new switches. So let's check those out.
Snappy, snappy.
Step switches with LEDs. Clicky, 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 blinky, blinky, blinky. I was inspired to look for these because of my great love of the Roland TR-808. I decided to call them step switches. There are the different colors that we have. So we've got a white, a gray, a black, blue, yellow, red, and green. This works well, same with these really nice proto boards that Adafruit has. With this code right now is that when it starts up, it does a couple little blinks, and then it waits for me to pick a mode. So if I pick the first mode, this is now in MIDI toggle mode, so I have 4 different MIDI CCs that I can toggle on and off. That's all done in software, so there's no connection between the LED and the switch in the mechanism itself. You can decide in software how to respond to clicks or not using either a on-off of the LED or a PWM if you want to fade them. That's my product pick of the week. It is the step switch with LED pack of 3.
All right. And we got JP's workshop coming up tomorrow as well. And then, Friday's going to be a little different because it's CircuitPython Day, but usually on Fridays, we have deep dives.
The gang's all here.
Yeah, so we'll have something similar at 6 o'clock. We'll have CircuitPython Day Game Jam stream with Tim, Foamy Guy.
Yes,
So do
we are
check
having
that
a
out this week.
new guide coming out soon from Foamy Guy about writing games
Yeah.
for CircuitPython.
And then for the folks that already got one, I guess no other term would make sense for this, who got a hack tablet, those arrived today. So we were giving away the CircuitPython powered hack tablets. At least a couple people got them today. So it happened. Okay. Time travel. A little bit of a wrap up. So one of the things that we wanted to do was help some of the folks out there that are doing larger events, that are trying to get makers back together, kind of like maker fairs and some of the independent maker fairs, but bolted on to other places where people are going as well. So Comic-Cons is one of those where there's a lot of people going with their costumes that they've made, but a lot of people want to learn how to make these things. So this is something that Lady and I were really interested in for a while, and how do we, help bridge that gap between those? They're not really different communities; they just overlap in different ways. And Adam Savage is a friend of Adafruit. We know they use our stuff on Tested and more, and a lot of the stuff that Adam does. So we chatted with Adam and team, and we did a social media takeover where Adam got to take over our social media stuff. So if you look on our Twitter account or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or LinkedIn, you can see a lot of stuff. I don't know if Adam shared this before, but just a lot of behind the scenes things, a lot of costumes that Adam made, some past silicons, and the event that's not this weekend, it's next weekend that's coming up, is you can still get tickets. The code Adafruit still works. We don't get compensated in any way. We're just doing this to help get the word out. This was kind of neat. The costume was so heavy that you needed to be wheeled around. And here's Adam at the Expanse, and here's some more costumes and props, and they also had the museum. Someone said this is like Star Wars Episode 7, what's in the box, Chewie, kind of like that. Anyways, and then there's like an Adam Savage.
His current project, I think he's making.
Yeah, museum of sorts.
Yeah.
So check it out. It's siliconsj.com, and not this weekend coming up. And if anyone can drop the link in the chat, do check it out if you're in the San Jose area. AdaBox. So we're slowly accumulating the parts that we need to ship out AdaBox. What's that? What was that video game that as the ball rolled it would
Katamari?
Yeah. It's a little
like that.
It's a little bit like that. So we're getting closer, but I do think we're going to end up in a summer autumn edition. So thank you everyone for your patience. One of the good things about AdaBox is we don't charge until it ships, so it's not like you're getting charged for these. But we just continue to stockpile all the things that we need to get out the next AdaBox, so we'll keep you posted. Mailbag. All right, so here is the latest letter that came in from y'all. Thank you guys for everything you do. I follow 2 of your projects, and the descriptions have been specific enough for me to have completed them successfully. I love DIY projects, but my skills often fall short in the execution. In the process, I've learned a bit about CircuitPython and microcontrollers and Arduino. I have more parts coming, and it'll help me with an I/O gardening project. Thank you.
Yay.
All right, it's Python on hardware time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
CircuitPython week.
The only news this week, and the news to talk about, is it's CircuitPython Day.
Yes.
So this Friday, and just so everyone knows how this works out at Adafruit, I don't think we're going to have to put up a notice on the site, but this is a company holiday. There's no holidays in August, so we made up one. But
yeah, there's like
we already had
Labor Day, and there's Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas, and then.
And one of the things that we know that's really important to all of us who work is time off, and being able to use that as a float holiday, or being able to just take time off, because there's more to life than work, and a lot of folks, store time off for vacations and more. So we wanted to have a day that everyone could take off if they wanted to. And so some folks are not going to be physically at Adafruit, but I think we're going to have enough folks to keep things going. But a lot of the team is working on all the online efforts. This is still an online event. Probably we'll do some physical stuff in the future. But CircuitPython Day starts Friday, August 19th, and the updated schedule is up. You can check it out on the site. It's everywhere. It's on the blog. It's pretty much everywhere you can go. Starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we're going to do a CircuitPython Day introduction. Then we're going to be celebrating code and community panel discussion. So you might see a Lady Ada or I or some other folks. There's going to be a CircuitPython development sprint intro video, a CircuitPython project built with Maker Melissa, special edition CircuitPython themed show and tell, CircuitPython 8 preview, CircuitPython Day chat with Kattni, Jeff, and Dan, Foamy Guy CircuitPython CircuitPython Day Game Jam stream and CircuitPython development sprints. No video content with that. That'll just be the sprints.
But if you want to take advantage of the sprints, Scott and Dan will be helping people who want to contribute to the core, or you want to do some library work.
Yeah.
Speak up early, and we'll be able to get you a pull request
Yeah.
or an issue or your pet project. You could get help from Dan and Scott during that time. And this is the last time we're going to see Scott before he's on leave for a bit. He'll be back later in the winter or fall. But now's a great time to contribute to CircuitPython and get introduced as a developer.
And I'll answer some of the questions that have come up at the end, but I'll also probably do some of them real time. So during CircuitPython Day, will be deals with certain products that may be featured, or is it only focused on software? No, we'll have a discount code. Just look at some of the chats. I'm going to do it that day. I'm going to just see what we have in stock and more, because what I don't want to do if we're like out of a lot of stuff is say like, oh, hey, here's a discount code, and then, oh no, this isn't the thing we're featuring. So I would just make sure that I know what I'm talking about. So we'll see how things go on Friday, but there'll be a discount code for sure. What it'll be for, just stay tuned. Okay. And there's other events and things going on. You can check out Blues Wireless. They have stuff going on. The newsletter does have some interesting things this week, but like I said, this is all in preparation of CircuitPython week this week. Good news, though, this is, I think, worth mentioning. Although maybe you don't need to really pay attention to these rankings, but they are helpful. This index that we look at all the time, this is the InfoWorld TIOB. I don't know how people pronounce it, but it's a ranking of like the popularity of programming languages, and Python continues to be a number one language. And I don't think so. One of the problems is people get really polarized and dogmatic about religions. Like, no, it needs to be this. One of the cool things is you don't have to commit to any of these. You can try them out. So the popularity of Python is probably because it's very easy to try out. It's very human readable, and you can get really far really fast, and then there's a lot of expertise you can add later. And then you can do things like microcontrollers almost within seconds now, especially with CircuitPython and MicroPython. So that's kind of neat, and it's just one of those things we see ticking up more and more and more and more. So especially for young folks that are just getting into programming, not only do they get to do some powerful things really fast, but they can also do electronics.
And a lot of our boards, you start with CircuitPython or make code, and then eventually, you're like, look, I want to do, real-time operating systems and like more powerful stuff. You can always move to C, C++. Like we did streams on Platform IO, and we've done projects with Arduino and Zephyr and FreeRTOS. So there's, Python is I think it's good for powerful projects, but it's also a great way to prototype stuff that you can then refactor and redo in a more compact language if necessary.
Yeah. And then I'll answer a couple questions while we're here in CircuitPython Day land. Let me
go back to Blinka.
Well, no, I'll just stay here. So the next question is, do you need any gear for CircuitPython Day? Not really. Like, the good thing is, like, pretty much any board that runs CircuitPython you can have. You can order something. I guess you could potentially get it by Friday. But any electronics that you can run CircuitPython on, so circuitpython.org/downloads, you probably have something right now. You can run on a Raspberry Pi. There's pretty much almost anything Pythonic.
Yeah, if you want to contribute during sprints, of course, it's best to have the hardware that you want to sprint on. Otherwise, it's going to be really tough. We do have some, issues and PRs that are documentation-based, and so, of course, you can do those without hardware. But, if you want to contribute code, being able to compile and test the code on your own is going to be really essential.
Okay. And then I'll answer this one. Why would we have CircuitPython instead of continuing with MicroPython? The good news is there's both. You get to decide what you want based on your needs and hardware and expertise level. So we're the biggest, I think, financial supporter of CircuitPython, at least publicly.
MicroPython.
Both, yeah.
Yes.
Of MicroPython.
Both.
So we contribute to MicroPython. We sell the boards in our store. We sponsor MicroPython, but we also needed something that, especially back in the day, this was 8 years ago now, that could work on all different platforms. So MicroPython is very specific for very specific types of hardware, and it's I'd say there's a different level of expertise usually associated with it, where CircuitPython is the educational version, things that get people started very quickly. Massive hardware support, lots of devices,
Lots of drivers.
lots of drivers,
Consistent APIs.
consistent APIs.
Works on Raspberry Pi computers.
And that's what our customers expect. They wanted, for just to give you an analogy, they wanted an Arduino-like experience, but even easier. And so that's not MicroPython. And if you check out MicroPython, that's not what their goal of the MicroPython project is. Luckily, it's all open source, so you can decide what you want and when. I do see a lot of folks deploying MicroPython they'll fork MicroPython and they'll say this is going to be for like my device, and they'll like Lego has a fork of MicroPython.
Yeah.
So it's basically I feel like there's
a quick Python.
Well, there's like this Linuxy version. Like people are like, oh, I need to like run Linux on something, so they'll fork their version of Linux and they'll run
There's
it.
like 500 forks of Linux.
And then
easily.
there's very big distributions that are made specifically with more ease of use.
like Ubuntu is designed for one way, Kali is designed for another thing.
So one of the things that I think people get trapped in is like or. It's not, it's and. And if you look at the entities that contribute to MicroPython, Adafruit being one of the bigger ones, and we help with the fundraising.
Yeah, and we submit
MicroPython.
PRs and we fix bugs.
I think that's the right way to look at open source, is you're building on top of things together, and there's cross-pollination of drivers and more. And there's no way that MicroPython is going to support so if you go to circuitpython.org/downloads, that's not MicroPython's mission to support every different board under the sun. In fact, there's more CircuitPython boards from other companies besides Adafruit than Adafruit boards. That's what we wanted to do, and it's neat to see that is a giant menagerie of stuff. So that's what we decided to do, and the drivers is I think the hardest part to get things to work, and that's what we focused a lot on.
Yeah, because we want to make sure all of our sensors and breakouts work, and so we spend a lot of time on having really good quality drivers that work with CircuitPython, but that required having an API that's the same across every board.
So anyways, and we try to keep in step with MicroPython as each release comes out. So that's the longest answer, but that's you can also go to circuitpython.org and scroll down to the bottom, and
There's
have a little thing.
a lot of text.
Okay, and that is
Blinka.
Python on hardware. Don't forget, this newsletter is available to you. It can be delivered every single week. You can get that at Adafruit Daily. And at adafruitdaily.com, we don't spam you. It's a separate site. It's completely different.
Do we sell your data?
No.
Do we rent your data?
No.
Do we give your data
No.
away? Do we trade your data?
No.
Do we do anything
No.
with it?
No. So the reason we did that is because we never wanted anyone to think if they order something on adafruit.com that they're going to get a newsletter. You don't. You have to try really hard to get an email from us. But Adafruit Daily is just newsletters, and it's spam-free, ad-free, and that's how we do that. Okay. It's open source hardware time.
Ooh, that's what we do.
Yeah, we do. We have 2,715 guides, and I know what you're saying. There's so many guides. I wish there was like a weekly blog post or some type of update about what's been going on in the Learn system. Well, we have the Adafruit Learning System weekly update. So just check out the blog. Tyler writes this up every single week, and it's usually a highlight of what's going on in the Learn system and also some of Tyler's favorite projects. But we're here for the guides. Lady Ada,
That's
what guides
right.
are what guides are here this week? There's a bug.
There's a bug. Okay, so we had a couple updates and new projects. So new guide, Step Switch Party from JP. We got these cute TR-808 style step switches with LEDs in them. They're clicky and they're fun, and they've got these little LEDs. So let's make a little mini sequencer. So JP just showed how to solder these into a perf board and use them with a Raspberry Pi Pico and CircuitPython. I think he made a little MIDI device. Phil B did a big update to the eyes shootout. I think he added some more eyes. There's a lot more boards that have TFT eyes on them, so check out the eye shootout. The Adafruit SCD40 and SCD41 guide got a new page, which now has whippersnapper support. It's now whippersnapper supported, so if you want to use these CO2 sensors without having to write any code, we now have a code-free solution, so check out that quick start guide. And the Known Pedro RGB Matrix Cube with 25,000 LEDs. Cool guide. Philby added a enclosure for it. He designed an enclosure for an event he's going to. And I was like, hey, can you upload those laser cut files to the guide? And he did.
Okay, we got more guides.
We also have a new guide by Jan and JP. They made a Clue coffee scale using the NAU 7802 scale, like a strain gauge. So they showed how you can actually make a full project that's a scale for espresso making. I got some great photos. It made me very thirsty for a great shot of espresso. Gnome Pedro's project this week for 3D Hangouts is the DIY Pi 400 keyboard case.
Yeah.
So it's not a Pi 400, but it's kind of like it's like you have a Raspberry Pi, you have this keyboard, maybe you want a trackpad, maybe you want to use a different single board computer because you don't have a Raspberry Pi, you can get something else. So this is a fun little project just showing how to make a case that holds a keyboard. Kattni wrote up a guide for the ESP32 S3 TFT feather. Sorry, we actually forgot about this feather because it came so quickly after the S2. We forgot that we didn't have a guide for it. Anyways, there's one now. And Kattni did a great job with it. This is a great feather that people love. And then Brent also updated the upgrading ESP32 firmware guide to now use ESP tool primarily and, the web serial Chrome ESP uploader primarily and ESP tool secondarily because ESP tool is a lot tougher for people to use than a browser, and Chrome has web serial, and it's great.
Okay. Factory footage time.
Try it. Oh, that's cool. Almost there. Speed this up there. It's in the pocket. Oh.
And here's a little bit of progress. Sort of, you could see some of the edges of the Disney building across the street. It's so big, we can't encapsulate it in one camera. We might need to get a wide angle lens or something.
They're just building and building and building.
That's right. That's the sun stuck in its gravitational pull.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why they had to update the pricing for Disney Plus.
That's right. Okay, 3D printing time. We're gonna play this week's videos, and we have not only the project, but we have a speed up. See you on the other side.
You can make your own Pi 400 inspired project using a single board computer and a mini wireless keyboard. 3D print the enclosure and add your parts to make your own mini Linux computer with an HDMI display. You can mount just about any single board computer like the Raspberry Pi or the Asus Tinkerboard with enough space for a mini fan and cables. 3D print the 2-part enclosure in your favorite filament. You can get the parts to build this project, links are in the description. The enclosure snap fits over the bottom panel so it's easy to open and take things apart. Built-in standoffs are designed for standard mounting holes so you can secure the board with screws and hex nuts. Get the files to build your own by heading over to the Adafruit Learning System. Power up the mini fan over 5 volts by plugging in the jumper cables to the GPIO headers. Ports are open on the back side of the enclosure for easy access. Add a set of rubber feet to the bottom so it's nice and grippy. The mini fan provides airflow to the board so it stays nice and cool. The micro SD card slot is accessible on the front so you can always swap it out. A mini wireless keyboard lays on top with a notch in place so you can access the built-in controls. With the extra space, you can pull out the HDMI and micro USB cable for connecting to a display and the power supply. We hope this inspires you to build your own Pi 400 with a single board computer and a built-in keyboard.
And don't forget, on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. we do 3D Hangouts with Noah and Pedro. Quick commercial break, as in like, well,
Beep, 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 beep.
here's the code. Don't forget to use Metro Mini QT, and we get all that free stuff in the store as well. Let's do some Ion MPI.
On MPI.
Okay, this week's Ion MPI is brought to you by DigiKey, of course, but we're going to be talking about some 3D printers from Creality.
That's right.
This is a big deal. Let me talk about why this is a big deal first.
Okay.
It's really cool that DigiKey, that they're doing so much stuff intertwined and part of the maker communities. So they're part of the Silicon Comic-Con thing with Adam Savage, the Savage Makerverse. They've been part of Maker Fairs. And one of the things, there was 3D printing, but you really couldn't get them all. You couldn't get everything in one spot. Like, we don't have 3D printers at Adafruit. We don't
stock them anymore now.
And, it was hard to recommend where people could go and have like a really good shipping and shopping experience.
Yeah.
And we noticed that DigiKey now has 3D printers. And so we happen to have one of these. We have one from Creality. So you could tell we like it because we already had one.
Yeah, you happened to get one. And coincidentally, before this, we had it a couple months ago. So we actually had experience. That's why we didn't bring it in, because it's already set up and everything.
Yeah, it's gigantic.
It's big, but we basically got one of, this is the S1 Pro. Now, this is the newest one that DigiKey is stocking, the Ender S1 Hot Pro, I think. But they have actually a couple of other popular ones, a couple different Enders, and also the CR10, which I know a lot of people love. And the reason I think this is useful is, just because we've seen make 3D printers from web wraps and cupcakes up till now, like this long journey. One of the things that 3D printers have always been great for electrical engineers is enclosure design. So for example, here's a design that Known Pedro put together, or JP put together for one of our previous projects, using a dev board, the Feather ESP32S2 TFT. And, we wanted to make a nice little case for it. And this is a 3D printed case. You can tell by the little texture. It takes like 30 minutes to print. And, we don't sell the individual case, but also you maybe want to customize it, different colors, maybe make it bigger or wider, whatever. It's a very easy 3D print. So it's great for engineers, for prototyping and design, for making jigs, etc. So this is why it's a useful EE tool. We also do a lot of projects. Here's a project that Melissa did. She did like a cat detector, and she wanted to just basically bolt a servo to a thing. And so, made a little 3D printed piece that we got uploaded to GitHub. You can see the STL here. So it's common, even if you're just putting together some pieces to prototype or design something as an engineer, the moment you have circuit boards, motors, plastic pieces, buttons, 3D printing is that glue that will hold it together.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we realize is, like, 3D printers are cool and everything, but they're kind of like the ultimate enclosure maker to get your electronics to kind of all do stuff together. And that's how we've been using them, because if you're just printing out shapes and stuff, that's cool. It's fun. But the electronics that go inside them and all the things that you can do really rounds out, I think, your, if making is your hobby, this is one great way to do it.
Yeah, so this is like a site, Thingiverse, which is very popular. There's a lot of 3D printing sharing sites. But this one has, we have almost 500 different designs. Over the years, every time we do a design or a project, we upload it. So you can download these and then, of course, buy components from DigiKey and, make finished products. So there's a couple different categories of products available. Now, this is one page, so there's two. I just want to show that they have the CR series as well as the Ender series available from DigiKey for immediate shipment. And what's nice is they're actually stocked too. So they will ship from DigiKey's US warehouse. So there's no like weird import fees, and there's no
drop shipping. So that was one of the things that we were reluctant to say, like, oh, here's where you can get a 3D printer, because you'd order it online, but it turns out it would always come from somewhere else. Where DigiKey, they have gigantic football field size warehouses, and they have them there.
Yeah.
So if it says it's in stock, it really means it. And so I think that's important.
Oh, Harvey. All right. Okay. So next up, I will say that there's a lot of printers, and at first, I was like, I don't know what is the Ender 3 S1 Pro. But this is a nice diagram. So the one we're talking about today is the one in the middle. Basically, the higher the temperature you can get, the bigger the build volume, the more you're going to pay. The actual software is almost exactly the same. There might be slightly higher quality components and extruders and hot ends, but mostly you're paying for, motor speed, build volume, and how hot and how fast your temperature can rise on the build plate and the extruder. So that kind of basically means it's like, are you going to printing a lot and big things? You'll spend more. If you're printing rarely and it's small stuff, just get the smaller printer and it's fine. All right, so this is the one. This is specifically the one that just got added to DigiKey stock. So it's, I think, really similar to the one you got.
The auto leveling is nice.
The auto leveling is great.
Yep.
We got it set up very quickly.
Yeah, it's kind of set it and forget it.
We put it together very quickly too. It comes in pieces, but it comes in like a flat pack. But you and I were able to put it together in about an hour or two, following instructions. It's easier than IKEA furniture. It can do a wide variety of materials because it's got up to 300 degrees C heating. So you can do. A lot of people like PLA because it's the easiest, but once in a while people want PETG or ABS, TPU, flexible materials,
heated bed, auto
wooden,
leveling, removable plate. Yeah, Mr.
All the stuff.
Certainly said the same things I was about to.
Yeah, the plate is great. It's you can pop off parts, multi-point leveling. There's also manual leveling as well. You can get it kind of close, and then the auto level takes care of a lot of the most frustrating parts about 3D printing for you. Okay, next up, I wanted to also mention, don't forget, there's also filaments available. I just went to the 3D filaments and searched for what's in stock, and they have 1,001, literally 1,001 different filaments that you can purchase from DigiKey. Different materials, different colors, different thicknesses and densities, operating temperatures. So, go to town. I think here's, just showing a couple of the options. They have the 1.75, the 3 millimeter, different weights. So, if you don't need so much, you can get 1 pound, or you can go up to 10 pounds. They also have, liquid, it's not quite filament, it would be resin. It's in a different category, but in case you want resins, they have that as well. And of course, every kind of color you could want. Next up, you're like, okay, cool, I got a 3D printer, I got my filament, I got my printer together, now what? Well, for a lot of the products that we make and sell through DigiKey, you can get CAD parts from the Adafruit CAD parts directory on GitHub. Don Pedro have been filling this up for, every time they do a project, they'll model one or two parts. For years, they've been adding it. People have also submitted projects. Thanks for everybody who submitted models, and also corrected any mistakes. But basically, you can import these into your CAD program. So not just our boards, but our extrusion, the laser diodes we sell, the backpack, and this goes on. I mean, this just shows one page, but this scrolls forever. Our LiPo batteries is what they use for when they do their weekly show, 3D Hangouts, because it's not just enough to have a 3D printer, and now you can download models and print them, but maybe you're like, I want to design my own enclosures, my own projects. Well, they have video every single week for about 1 hour where they show tips and tricks of how they model, and they've, we've known Pedro now for many years. The quality of the work that they've done has multiple fold improved. Not that they didn't do great work before, it was great, but they're doing snap fits now, and it's dynamically adjustable designs and multiple pieces.
It's product design
really
for beginners. It's also this show, we don't have sponsorship, we just do this show. It's the longest running 3D printing live show on planet Earth. This is it. And one of the reasons we do this is to show that there's so many things that you can do, you can make, you can use it with electronics. It makes prototyping really easy. It takes all the frustrations out of, I got this electronic project, how am I going to actually make it work?
Yeah.
Anyways, we were excited to see DigiKey stocking it. It's in stock now. You can get an Ender.
Shipment.
Yeah, you can get an Ender. And then we have a little video from them. We'll show their flashy video.
They show it off, but also we have a print I can show.
Yeah,
this is the first print that we made.
This is the first print, and I one of the things, and this is not a dunk or a ding on anyone. So, 3D printers are great. I just didn't want it. I didn't want 3D printing to be my hobby. I wanted to use 3D printing as a tool for things. I didn't want it to be like, I have a 3D printer and now I'm just going to mess around with 3D printers all the time. That's super fun. And that's,
you don't have to do that anymore.
But I didn't want that to be my 3D printing.
Yeah, if you have it,
I've done that before.
The cupcake was an amazing
super
kit,
fun.
But it was like, I don't need that puppy.
Yeah, I do like when technology kind of disappears a little bit, where it's like, cool, I just send the file over and I print it. So this, I printed this out. This was from my museum scan. So I went to Rubin Art Museum, and I scanned in a sculpture from their Buddhism exhibit, and then I put it through a low poly filter, and then I printed this out in only took a couple hours or so, and I did a.
Yes, you can see. I mean, this is with no tuning. This is we literally turned it on and we're
This is my hello world for printing.
Auto. We were auto level, and then this is a hollow body. But you can see the quality is great. We didn't. No special. This is basically the filament it comes with. The nozzle it comes with. The settings that were default for PLA, and it came out great.
So, anyways, I thought that was pretty neat. So we'll play this video, and then we'll see you on the other side. Yeah, by the way, fun little note. Now you can have a laser cutter and laser engraving. It's like
I will say, I do not. So I'll just tell you a story. When we got our laser cutter a decade ago, and I was talking to an engineer who had owned earlier laser cutters, like the $50,000 ones, and we got ours, the Epilogue, for $10K, and the engineer said, "It's not impressive that they made a laser cutter for $10,000. That's really easy. What's amazing is they made a safe laser cutter for $10,000." Just be aware if you get this laser head that this is not.
Yeah,
there's nothing stopping it.
So here's one way that you can work back from it. So we've had a pretty high-end laser cutter in every apartment and then every business that Adafruit all through this. I just assume that's going to catch on fire every time I turn it on.
They love to catch on fire.
And because I assume that, it actually doesn't happen. So we have air assist, we have all the fire suppression stuff. We also do a lot of safety training with our team, and we also don't do the one thing I've seen everyone do, and you just can't do it. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'm just gonna go toast that bread real quick. You turn your back, and that's exactly when the laser catches on fire.
Yeah.
I've seen it over and over. I've joked about it. I'm just like, don't. I like when I have the laser running, I don't even like turn around. I back away while I'm looking at it, like it's some type of creature.
I just don't know enough about. I've seen a lot of these like open, like there's no interlock laser.
Yeah, but that's how I roll.
Do engraving.
You could take good risk and do other stuff, but I just assume this laser.
Don't leave this unattended.
Is we would never leave it unattended, and I think that's probably the most important thing. But
we use ours as a 3D printer.
Yeah.
We do not have the engraver.
I don't have the engraver on it because we have a laser cutter.
Yeah.
So anyways, Metro Mini QT is the code, and let's do some new products, lady.
Yeah.
Ready?
New.
Okay, headers. We've got headers.
We've got headers. We've got sockets, we've got stackies, we've got skinnies. Okay, so yeah, we've got a plethora of Pico headers. Basically, they're 1 pin wide, 20 pin long headers of a variety of different sizes. So you've got your Pico W. Actually, can you go back one?
Like that?
Yeah, so you got your Pico W, and chances are you either got the header, the one with the header like this, where the headers are plugged in already and soldered, or you solder them in yourself. That maybe you want to plug it into something and remove it, or maybe you want to have it stack with stuff. So we have a couple different options. So let me grab them because I'll show it on the overhead. Okay, so first up we have the standard. This is actually good. We have the standard, female socket headers. Hold on, let me focus lock. These are their standard 8.5 millimeter high ones. You've got your standard. Hold on. To de-Pico-ify this. Okay, you've got your standard 8.5 millimeter long plug male headers. These fit in exactly, they're like exactly the same height. So you want to plug this in and you're like, I want to be able to remove this later. You are like me and you remove this multiple times so they all got bent, but now they plug in. Here you go. So you've got a little bit of height here. You got like a 10 millimeters total height, basically, because you've got the 8.5 millimeters of this plus like the 2 millimeters of the spacer. So it's not bad. You can fit stuff inside of there if you want. Let's see, more focusy. You can stick a battery down there. You can stick some circuitry in there. Cool. But then you're like, no, I want slim style. So we also have the skinny headers. So these are, you have to get them in a pair. You get the male's shorty headers and the female shorty headers. So you see that they're both much shorter. I think these are 5 millimeters instead of 8.5. So you save basically half the height. But if you want it to be nice and skinny, you solder these together and you see they're significantly less tall. So you just have to match them up. If you mix and match them, you're not going to be happy because these headers are too long for these sockets. And these sockets, they will work, but they don't grip as nicely as the long ones. So just kind of keep them the same. And then third up, we've got stacking headers. So we love these from Arduino, people like to stack shields. So this is, for example, a proto bell that we designed. And then, you can put that on and then stack a Pico on top. So I'll show you that. So let's say you're like, okay, I want the Pico on top. I want some circuitry in the middle, and then I still want to be able to plug this into a breadboard, or you want to be able to grab it with a multimeter, a scope probe. So you've got the stacking header style. Or you can put the stacking headers onto here, and then you plug into a breadboard or another design, and you can still plug wires into the top. The only reason I wouldn't necessarily recommend putting something on top of this is the boot button isn't, you kind of want to have access to that, and you don't, if you have something covering here, you'd have to reach in and bump it, which is, a little sad. So you can choose though if you want to solder these in. But these are very common header kits that we've loved in our Arduino and breakout board days, and so just having these ready to go, all different sizes for your Pico or Pico W, just means it's, as we have accessories, it'll be easier to plug and unplug them.
Okay, and the star of the show tonight, besides you, Data, our team, our customers, our community, and more, is you guessed it.
Dun dun dun! It's the Metro Mini V2 with Stemma QT. So much like the Feather ESP32 V2, the original board, the Metro Mini, came with an SCP-2104, which was one thing, and then that kind of got impossible to get, and so we got a bunch of CP-2102s, which required a slight change to the circuit board layout. You have to have 2 resistors. And one of those things is, once you change a PCB at all, adding anything or changing any package, you basically might as well redesign the whole thing, because you have to get a new stencil, you have to reprogram the pick and place, so you might as well just kind of make any changes.
Also, things have changed. There's USB-C, there's Stemma, there's all sorts.
So that's why I was like, you know what, if I'm here, once you're oh, I'm going to throw out one thing from the fridge, suddenly you're cleaning out the freezer. So the whole thing got redone. So we added a Stemma QT port, so you can plug and play with all of our Stemma QT sensors. We upgraded it from a micro USB to a USB Type-C. So you have reversible cable, and also I like these nice big plugs and all that good stuff. It's the same physical size, same pin out, same connections, same mounting holes. But really the big change is changing to USB-C. The LEDs got smaller to make room. And then adding that Stemma QT port at the end. But I think, these are big enough changes, and I think there's some people who may, they're like, I designed a case for the micro USB port, so they wanted to stick with the old version. But I thought on the overhead I would show both really fast. So I've got, this is the new one, and then this is the original. So you see it's the same size. You can see it's some parts moved around just a little bit to make some space. I basically shoved everything over to the left a teeny bit to make room for this Stemma QT port. But also, whenever I write drivers, I'm always testing it with the Metro Mini. So I kind of designed this for myself. And then on the bottom, just like the V1, in fact, this V1 is changed. There's a little jumper that lets you change it from 5-volt I/O to 3-volt I/O. And this is actually important to note, because there's a little warning here. The Atmega 328 here is running at 5 volts normally, and so this port is 5-volt power and 5-volt logic, which will work great with all of our Stemma QT boards because they all have regulators on them. It's a 3-volt regulator and level shifters, and this one doesn't, because this is a 3 or 5-volt device. But all of our Stemma QT boards are 5-volt or 3-volt friendly, because we expect that you'll plug them in to 3-volt devices like a QT Pi or Raspberry Pi, or you might plug them into an Arduino Uno or an Atmega 328 running at 5 volts. If you want to use this with other boards that have a JSDSH connector but are quick compatible, that's a 3-volt power and logic, you'll want to change this from 5 volts, cut the jumper and solder it to make it 3-volt compatible. That way you get 3-volt power and 3-volt logic. But by default, it's going to be 5 volts. So that's the only thing you have to watch out for, but it's not a big deal. If you want to connect to 3-volt logic stuff, just cut and solder the jumper like I did here. It takes you 1 second, and then now you're running at 3 volts power and logic. Everything is basically the same except just a lower voltage. Technically, it's overclocking a little bit, but really, don't tell anybody. It works fine.
Okay, and that's new products.
Yay!
All right, a little reminder, the code is Metro Mini QT, because you can get one of these.
Yes.
We're going to do some top secret, and then we're going to answer some questions. I have some lined up, but you can go and put those in Adafruit IT/Discord. Line them up. Let's do some top secret, and then we'll answer some questions. You ready?
Okay, in the vault.
Okay, so the first little bit of top secret is I think we're going to be ready to introduce a new type of segment soon. So we have chip shortage. But, sometimes after a chip shortage, if there is such a thing, we'll eventually get parts, and these parts come on reels. So, welcome to the real world. What happens when you put 5,000 parts on a reel and get it to Adafruit? The real world. So we have a little video. We got a reel of parts. So this is a product that's coming soon.
You wanna show it on the overhead real fast?
Yeah, I'm gonna also show that video.
Oh.
The one that we shot.
Oh yeah. Well, that's another part. But we got a reel of B&O 055s today. These are going in the pick and place tomorrow. You can see they were just made recently. Thank you, Bosch. We asked them in a previous chip shortage video to please, Mr. Bosch, send us some. And they did, and we're going to crank out a bunch of B&O 055 breakout boards. We have a ton of orders. You'll see these pop up at our favorite distributors. They've all placed back orders with us, and we would like to get them.
Yeah. And here's a video.
Hi, Lady, what is this?
Hey, I'm testing out a breakout I designed for the TCA 8418. It's a GPIO and keypad to I2T expander. It can do up to 80 keys. And I've got here hooked up a 3x4 keypad. I can press buttons. Here's the page on ti.com if you're interested and read more about it. And here is the output of my Python code. So as I press these buttons, you see it's like, hey, key up, down, and it has a queue, which is kind of neat, a 10 key queue. And then another thing is that there's an IRQ pen, and so I'm monitoring that with my scope, and every time I press a button, or release a button, you see the IRQ go off. So all this is good. This is working out. I've tested all the GPIO pins and the IRQ and the reset. So this is getting ready to go into the Adafruit shop soon.
This is what happens when chips start shipping and start getting on reels.
That's right.
So I'm paraphrasing.
Well, I mean, I think, and Bunny, I think, did a blog post or a tweet about this. There is a little bit of softening in the market right now. There's parts that I had never been able to get before, and suddenly they're kind of available, like stuff that was back ordered for a really long time is shipping. So, if you're like, hey, I really needed a part and it wasn't available, go to DigiKey search or search on your favorite distributor, or do a search for that kind of part that you're looking for. You might be surprised. I'm seeing not everything. Like some things are still totally unavailable, but there are more things available.
Yeah, and then another little bit of top secret. I'll probably have a blog post. Maybe let's see. It's August right now. September. We're gonna start a thing where once a month we post some books that the team's reading, or maybe some folks in the community. We're calling it Bookfruit.
Bookfruit.
Because I send emails to friends and in our meetings here at Adafruit and over our Slack and all this stuff. Oh, what book you reading? What book you reading? So this is Bookfruit. We'll do it like a hashtag. I'm stealing this from Book Talk. And the book that I'm reading right now, I'm almost finished with it, is, let me go to this, Existential Physics with Sabine Hassenfelder, also an excellent singer, by the way. So if you like physics, it's kind of a good one, just came out. And right before that, I think I read the Benjamin Franklin biography, because I think I read it a long time ago, but I forgot if I did. So those are the two. And then we're going to have, of course, electronic books and more. But anyways, I thought that would be kind of cool. And I'll let everybody know when they can, send us or tag what book they're reading. Kind of like a Maker Book Club, engineering book club. And that's top secret. Okay, we're going to zip right along to questions. Got some lined up.
Yeah, we're on time.
We're going to, oops, what? Yeah. Wrong intro. Or right intro for
Infinite questions.
Yeah. Okay, You ready?
Yes.
Would we make a Circuit Playground Express RP2040?
It's something that we've been looking at. There's a couple reasons why it might be more likely to happen now, but I've been looking for, say, a light sensor that I could use because I didn't want to use one of the ADCs on the RP2040 because there's only 4 of them. That's the only thing that really made it a little bit frustrating is there's only 4 analog inputs, and I really would have liked 8 because of all the sensors that are low cost that are analog. But we'll figure it out.
Okay. How long is the queue to buy Raspberry Pi? So here's what you do. Usually on Wednesdays at 11:30, we put them on the site because by the time emails would go out, it would be hard. So we do send out emails, but do check out the site 11:30 on Wednesdays.
Especially today. I mean, they were out of stock in 2 minutes.
It's a feeding frenzy. It's like throwing them into a volcano.
Yeah.
So check the site. You can check social media because there's a lot of bots that look at when things are in stock. But generally speaking, 11:30 on Wednesdays Eastern time. Just hit refresh a couple of times, or 11 a.m. is another time that we sometimes do it. And that's how you do it. We also do send out emails, but just keep in mind for some models, by the time you get the email, it could be possible that folk bought them. Next up, any plans for an airlift with the new NRF 7002 Wi-Fi chip Nordic is making? It was announced this week.
There's absolutely no information about that chip. I looked, and I don't think it's coming out for quite a few months. I'll check it out, but they're probably going to release drivers when it does come out, so we'll see what the scoop is. I don't know anything really, but right now we definitely have airlift support working for the ESP32. If it's a SPI protocol, and I think that the NRF also uses SPI, so hopefully it would be a compatible port.
Okay, and then I think Todd mentioned that Sabine, the book author I was talking about, has a pretty good YouTube channel. It's true. If you're into science and stuff, and it's kind of hard to not be because we live in a world with science, you can check out her YouTube channel. It's called Science Without the Gobbledygook. And I think for folks who want to understand some of the ways that things work without the gobbledygook, you can check that out. Here's the YouTube channel here. Science Without the Gobbledygook. It's a good channel. Okay, let's see here. Any chance you might be able to make an ESP32H2 feather? That's the one with thread, Bluetooth.
I don't think that ships out
Zigbee,
either.
matter.
Guys, I can only make hardware for things that exist.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, question. How do you select a multi-channel servo chip driver like the LED chip driver in Adafruit 16-channel 12-bit servo hat?
Well, it needs to run at 50 to 60 hertz, right? So that's the most important thing, and have 12-bit resolution.
Okay. You demoed a ESP32 camera board. Is there a way to connect a USB generic camera with 4 pins? Just curious if you can add a camera that way on a S2, S3.
It's not going to be possible, really, because you'd need USB host support, and you'd need the camera streaming, like asynchronous streaming. It's so complicated. You're better off just using a camera chip.
Any updates on restocking some of your parts over at DigiKey, for example, quick connector? Well, if they don't have something, I think you can back order from DigiKey, but you might also ask for a stock update. But if we don't have the parts, obviously, because of the part shortage, then they won't have them because they're our resellers.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, if you want to buy something from DigiKey and it's not in stock, if you place the back order, they'll definitely place the order through us. But depending on stockages and how long it takes us to get stuff, it might be available at some distributors and not others.
Things are starting to get a little bit better around the world for parts, and things are starting to happen. It's just slow. It's a bit of a slog.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me check and see if there's any other questions. Let's see. I do not see any over there. I think I'm going to call it. Going once.
Okay.
Going twice. Them's your questions.
Thanks, everybody. Don't forget, we'll be around on Friday, CircuitPython Day, if you have more questions.
It's going to be an all-day event. Join us. And thanks for making this another year of CircuitPython stuff together.
Woohoo!
We're up to CircuitPython version 8. We'll be talking about that and more. Special thanks to Melissa and Liz who are helping out in show and tell. Special thanks to Jessie May who's running things behind the scenes.
Thanks,
All
Jessie
the
May.
folks in the chat and more. You make every week that we work hard and smart and work to be good to one another all worth it. Thank you. It's very much appreciated. This has been an Adafruit production. Here's your moment of Zener. We'll see you this week on CircuitPython Day, and we'll see you next week on all the shows and more.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, everybody.